Why can't you find love? How long have you really been single? Really? Having trouble finding that special soulmate? I can solve this one. Secrets of Birthdays, now live for purchase. Your love trouble? Over. All that and more at secretsofbirthdays.com. Hello, my brothers and sisters of Soul Nirvana. Christopher Witecki here now with the 6th episode of Astro 101. Hope you enjoyed the first 5. We were talking about the states of consciousness. And if you happen to click on this episode and you haven't seen the others, you better not do that. I think you want to start from the beginning and work your way up. And I think the way it works is the most recent is at the top here in the playlist. So you got to scroll down for the first one and kind of work your way up literally. Now today we're going to talk about something else. And I want to give you kind of the architecture of the class now and the syllabus of the class. We've talked about the first states of consciousness in the first 5 classes and what that is and what those states are. Now what we're talking about, we're going to get into, are the planets. Okay? Let me explain how I think it all works. There are 12 states of consciousness. That's it. There are 12 colors available to reality. At least that's what astrology says. And a ruling planet is vibrating at that state of consciousness. It's vibrating like a big rock in space. That's what it is. And I look at these rocks in space almost like wooden spoons, stirring and stirring and stirring, you know, around the Earth. Every time the planet makes one rotation, it's a wave that hits the Earth, right? And that wave may take 12 years with Jupiter or 1 year with the Sun. Remember, it's from the Earth's perspective, so the Sun is revolving around the Earth from our world's perspective and our reality's perspective. But these create waves that hit the Earth. And this is kind of, I think, how astrology actually works, is these big planets. So a ruling planet is really a stirring planet. This is the planet that stirs that state of awareness. Now, these planets also represent how these states of awareness fall within us, okay? So we can define our different states of awareness by these planets as well. So that said, we're going to start with the Sun, okay? The Sun. The Sun is the center of the solar system, really. And the Sun is basically creation. That's what the Sun is. The Sun is the creation of a human being or the creation of a soul. A lot of people think Venus is creation. Venus is creativity, what you do with the creation. The Sun is the awareness of I am, okay? And Sun rules Leo, the state of consciousness of Leo. So the idea of I am, that's the first moment of life. I am. It's self-awareness. And the Sun is self-aware. It does not need the planets to be hot or to shine bright. In fact, the Sun ingests itself at the core. It's a beautiful metaphor for Leos. Because for Leos to be powerful, they must ingest themselves. They must be in love with themselves, okay? And a lot of Leos go chasing after the planets for applause, and that is what I call the prince or princess stage of the Leo's development. I always encourage them, be like the Sun. Just love yourself and shine bright, and the right planets will show up. So wherever the Sun is in your chart, it represents where you will shine bright. And we're going to talk about the houses, we're going to talk about degrees, we're going to talk about a lot of different things. Astrology is deep, but it's important to know the Leo vibration, the Leo state of awareness, and you might go back to your homework and figure out what that was and kind of compare it to the Sun and what the Sun represents. The Sun is where we shine bright in our life, where the focus and epicenter is of our entire life. So if the Sun is in the first house, it is all your ego. That's where you shine bright from. Not a bad thing. That's where a lot of celebrities' charts look like, or what they look like. If the Sun's in the 10th, you shine from your career. If the Sun's in the 7th, you shine in a marriage. It's where you shine and where people will revolve around you. This is also, I think, the order of reality. We're going to talk about this, but I think first the human beings are aware. I am. Then the next planet is Mercury. In fact, for you to say I am requires Mercury. Mercury is our intellect. Okay? Mercury rules the Gemini state of consciousness or state of awareness, the connecting of the two dots. Now you notice Mercury is the fastest planet around the Sun. Okay? And Mercury spends a few months going direct and then a few months going retrograde. Well, from the perspective of the Earth, it looks like Mercury is going forward and then backwards, when really Mercury is swinging around the other side of the Sun. Each one of these rotations is the two sides of Gemini: forward, back, direct, retrograde, direct, retrograde. And that's the two sides of thought: communication and thought, speaking, thinking, right? It all makes sense when you look at the actual metaphysics of the planets. So you have I am, I'm aware, I just know I'm aware. And then when you say I'm aware, that requires Mercury. This is literally, I think, the orbit of the planets and the order of the planets is literally the order of life itself in the perspective of a human being. This is different from the order of life from the perspective of God consciousness, where you go Pisces is the first membrane, etc., etc., etc. That's from God's direction. From the human being experience, it begins with the sun, Mercury, Venus, Earth. Okay? We'll get to Venus and Earth in the next episode. But I want you just to kind of gurgitate on this. So most of the time in your chart, Mercury is either ahead of the sun, on top of the sun, or behind the sun, because Mercury's really close. And Mercury shows us astrologers how you think. And we'll talk about putting signs and sun and planets together. But we know that if Mercury's ahead in the next sign, you're a forward thinker. If Mercury's behind the sun, you're always thinking to the past and contemplating history and that sort of thing. And then Mercury's on top of the sun, you are a fast thinker. So Mercury is an important planet for us to understand the way people communicate, whether or not they communicate, how they communicate, etc. And again, it rules the Gemini consciousness. So you might kind of put Mercury together with your Gemini list of people in your homework. Now, your soul work for this week is this. It's time to cast your chart, okay? If you don't know how to cast your chart, I go to astro.com. I click on My Astro. You're going to need your time of birth, your date of birth, okay? And, of course, you're going to need the place of birth. This is important because we need to know the exact space-time continuum you came onto the planet. Run off your chart. If you have questions about it, I'll post it in the room. We also have an Astro Resources room on Soul Garden, in the main Soul Garden. So go to Astro Resources. I've already posted how to run a chart. And when you get your chart, print it out or on PDF, look for a circle with a dot in it. That means the sun. That's the placement of the sun, okay? And just look at it right now. You're not going to understand it right away. We're going to go about this slowly. Mercury is a little circle with a hat on it, okay, with a stick coming down. All right, that's the Mercury symbol. There'll be a glyphs guide at the bottom of the chart anyways. It tells you kind of a legend of what the planets are. But go get your chart. That is your homework assignment. Look where your sun is. Look where your Mercury is. And in our next episode, we're going to continue with the planets, and we're going to review Mercury and the sun. All right, that's all I have for this episode. I'm so glad you're here. I'm excited. Remember, ask questions. I'm here to answer them. That's part of what you get in Soul Nirvana. And I'll see you next week. Live, love, be. Having trouble finding that special soulmate? Oh, I know. Are you ready to find love? So what do you think your ideal mate is? This I can solve for you. Check out Secrets of Birthdays, the Love and Lust Report at secretsofbirthdays.com.
Soul Garden.